the Easton Board of Education, regular meeting, May 9th, 2023 at 7:02. I think we're gonna skip the approval of the minutes. We'll come back to that next meeting. I'm not sure they were posted. And
Apologies.
no worries. And we'll go.
Here comes Devin.
Here comes Devin. Okay. Great. And we're going to move on to public comment. Not seeing any members of the public present, we'll go to board member comment. Okay, all good, excellent. We'll go down to administrative reports.
Okay. Thank you, Randy. Good evening, everyone. Lovely to see you all. Nice to see you. Well, it's not nice to see you, but I know you're there, Devin. So hello to you as well.
She's waving.
Is she waving?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hope everyone is okay. We'll start administrative reports this evening with a report from or an update from our principals. So, Kim, can you?
I got a report. Do you want me to read first?
That laptop battery is about, that laptop's about to die if anybody's gonna need it.
So perhaps we should change the order. Well, that insulted in the least.
That's not a bad idea.
Do we have the adapter for it? Yeah. If you do, I've got an extension cord.
Another.
I often find myself
Cables.
in situations.
Show. Let's make it.
Yeah.
The guy would look, yeah, and
you go to one.
you have 6 bobby pins. Your first. All right.
Is Sophia from the school?
Yes, she's down.
I totally just recognized her
You did?
at the point of the driveway.
Yeah,
She's a remarkable basketball player.
yeah, she's on
On
the
top of playing softball.
Mhm.
Holy cow.
Yep.
Talking about her.
So we're continuing with Kim
Next
then?
5 years. Shall I talk or
Yes.
shall I wait for an
No, no.
adapter?
No, I think you should.
Because I have a $6,000 request I would like to check before the battery runs low.
Go ahead.
Battery runs out.
Okay, so we have a really fabulous green team that applied for and have been granted a green grant from the Easton Learning Foundation, but the total amount exceeds what Dr. McKinnon can approve. The total amount is $6,000. The letter is just so brilliantly written. They are asking for materials related to creating a garden in the front of the school, around where you see the brick and the stone that forms sort of a red and white, sort of the stripes in the flag around where you see our American flag. And it kind of goes up right before where it starts to get rough, where the gentleman who leases that property to do herb farming, they are requesting a small storage shed, split rail gates, split rail fencing, black vinyl coated mesh, tree trunk seating, garden beds, wood chips, garden tools, miscellaneous supplies, for the grand total of $6,000. And they have been working with the Easton Garden Club. They have been meeting monthly. These wonderful men and women have been coming along with members of the, I think they are planning and zoning. Is Justin Giorlando planning and zoning?
Yeah.
Who have been working with them and the director of how to use land use, helping them find the right spot. The Easton PTO granted them funding to come up with these beautiful round tables that have come out, that they've purchased, these round tables that are now positioned in front of where we now have the 2 flags. The area that they want to build goes up so that the kids will be sitting on these stumps. So they're up on sort of like an amphitheater looking down where the farming is going to be. It's really well thought out. But the amount of dollars we would need your approval for this donation from the Easton Learning Foundation. If you'd like me to read the letter, I could, but it will be both a vegetable, herb, and flower garden.
Is, I may have heard that at least some members of Boy Scouts are also doing some work on that, you know?
Oh, Eagle Scouts.
Eagle Scouts.
Eagle Scouts will be building the fence.
Noah Beninati.
Noah
He
Beninati.
was telling me about this project.
Yes.
And I was thrilled to hear
Yes.
about that. Okay.
Another one of my friends who will be with me for a lifetime, who I will not be paying college for.
No, of course, yeah,
Right.
no doubt.
Right.
What a great kid, yeah,
He really is.
yeah, great.
Any motion?
Motion to accept the generous donation of the Easton Learning Foundation for the amount of $6,000.
Second.
All in favor? Any comment,
Aye.
any discussion? No?
Nope, nope.
Good.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. They will be thrilled. I also wanted to thank the Easton PTO. They have worked with families in the Samuel Staples community, I imagine the Helen Keller community as well. Teacher and staff appreciation. The theme this week has been the teacher and staff are rock stars, and the tie-in with rocks have been and actual rock stars has been pretty cool. And they have loved it. So thank you to the PTO for thinking in such a grand way of making the teachers feel like real rock stars. It's been wonderful. So thank you. I also wanted to share that once again, our kids participated in the Connecticut Invention Convention. Again, this year, we have 4, I think about the amount of 4th grades in the state of Connecticut. And once again, we have 4 kids who have made the finals. Our friends, Madeline Hall and her invention dry band, Henry Therio, In Your Can, Robert Bellinger, Shower Time, and Elliot Ronner, Solar Controller, are showing up in person on June 10th, I think, at the University of Connecticut. Will show their inventions, and the judges will decide whether they go to the Nationals, which is in Detroit, Michigan. So we're very proud of them. On morning announcements, we made a big attention to their projects, which we're so proud of those kids. They're wonderful. And we also wanted to share that I won't see you before our Nature's Classroom trip. We haven't been to Nature's Classroom in 3 years. And we are returning to Nature's Classroom just a few weeks. 5th grade is very excited. We will be there for 4 wonderful days and 3 nights.
Where is that?
It is in Iverton,
Camp.
Connecticut.
Say the again.
Iverton, Connecticut, where they do not have cell phone service, Dr. McKinnon.
I did this for many years as a 5th grade teacher.
Really, did you do it
Amazing.
19 times? This is St. Marcos, 19 times.
All 4 days?
All 4 days and 3 nights and lots of fun and.
Oh, we have to talk about that.
Pent up demand this year, though,
Yeah,
since it's been,
yeah,
you know, missing for the past few years.
Yes, I'm
It's
sure
extra
they
special.
will make up for a lot of,
What was the name of the student who is doing the solar controller?
oh, that's Elliot Ronner.
Okay. Elliot,
The spelling of his name, I will share with you.
okay.
There we go. Any questions for me?
is the Easton Learning Foundation still involved in a lot of the logistics and judging and things like that for the invention convention?
We had some of the Easton Learning
Okay.
Foundation. We also had some of Helen Keller staff.
Oh, cool.
Who came out. It
Nice,
was fun.
that's great.
We had former Karen Woodford, former senior student teacher, came out and judged. Few others. It was lots of fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Kindergarten for next fall, still looking.
Oh, I left that on my chair. 92 packets have been picked up. Yes. Which includes,
18.
it is 18 across all 5 classes, which includes 5 Samuel Staples teachers. 2 of them are teachers who currently have students in older grades. So it made sense that we naturally accepted their kids because we don't want them to have kids in 2 different schools.
Correct.
So since we accepted 2 of the 3, I felt we need to accept all 3, because you know, I would be principal of the year if I didn't accept third.
92, okay. You think it'll grow from there or hard to say?
It is hard to say. I will say we have had a lot of shopping. I have one family who called and said, I have twins. And the requirement was the word. The requirement is that the twins are together.
At home and in school or just at home?
Yeah.
Right, so there's a bit of shopping. We gave a tour on Monday, 2 groups of 35 who toured the building without their children. They were first-time parents, none I knew. We walked through the building the first time, which was lovely. And the only question that I received was class size.
Research does support that, by the way, in kindergarten.
What's that?
Twins should be together?
Twins can be together.
Can be together.
Can be together.
I have always put twins together because
Yeah.
honestly, it is the bigger shock is for the families than it is for the kids. They have a harder time with this change, but 99% of the kids are singletons.
Yeah.
They do great. They just beautifully. We spend so much time on getting to know you and building connections with one another. They do well, but
The hard question is not kindergarten. The hard question is, do you do it first?
they do great.
I know they're doing great. Yeah. So, any other questions for Kim? Oh, we can share that anecdote. You called me.
Well, you can.
You called me at the end of last week. Was an
I
urgent
might.
phone call,
I did, yes.
and you were at an Australian restaurant, and
Not,
it was not Outback
I was not.
Steakhouse.
I just wanted to make sure. The
It was not at, it was not at Outback Steakhouse, and I called you back,
You did. I texted expecting a text.
and I advised you not to take that particular item, to choose something else.
Yes.
And it turned out well, right?
The owner waiter said he was Australian, but he didn't have an accent. I found that suspicious. He wanted me to order the kangaroo.
Right, yeah, give that a pass.
And he said, that's a hard pass. Don't order the kangaroo. And I did not.
Yeah.
No, yeah. But I do
So
remember.
there you go.
Duly noted.
Fun fact for the evening.
I do remember going to-
Thank
Thank
you.
you. We're going to Outback Steakhouse
Yeah.
once with a group of friends.
Yeah.
And ordering dinner, and one of my friends turned to me and said, would you knock off the Australian accent? You don't have to do that every time we come to Outback Steakhouse.
That is a friend.
Steve?
Point of clarity, is a blooming onion an Australian dish?
I've never heard of that, but I have tasted it. It is
It's
lovely.
delicious.
Oh, yeah.
Love
The
it.
dip, I mean,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's sauces.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just give me a
Clearly.
spoon.
Local to Australia.
Yeah. Never had that before.
The Vidalia onion.
I think like last month, my report is very similar to Kim's. We broke ground on our garden today, our new garden. It's out in the courtyard here. You can check it out on your way out perhaps. In partnership with the town land use director, Justin Giordano, and Gene Pilchowski from the Eastern Garden Club and the Aspetuck Land Trust, who will be providing the plants. We're gonna use only native plants in there. It's gonna be a pollinator garden and a sensory garden, which will be great to help support some of our students who would have some more sensory needs. We're also gonna have a pizza garden in there. I didn't know you could grow pizza, but I was told that if you grow like tomatoes, peppers, onions, then mozzarella, I guess, then you got a pizza garden. So we're also gonna have a pizza garden, and we'll be serving that at the first board meeting in September next year. All right.
And then we've been improving the science around the concept of feeding.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Might avoid that particular slice.
So thank you to the Eastern Garden Club, Aspetuck Land Trust, and the town land use who laid some of that today. So we have some more work to do on that, but we've already got soil samples from UConn. We've done some nice work out there. So it's been a good relaunch of that. Jen Rose is the teacher who is running that again. So it's wonderful. A Rose by any other name. So Teacher Appreciation Week has been off to a great start. Yesterday we had breakfast sandwiches here. Tomorrow we have pizza. Friday, the teachers are all getting 10-minute massages, Massage Envy, which is pretty cool. And all week long, there's coffee and snacks in the break room. They even went in and cleaned, like did a deep cleaning of like cabinets and what's in the refrigerator. The moms really got in there. So that was really great. we really appreciate all that. So special thanks to the PTO for all the support this week. And then on your board report for the Keller section, there's a ton of end of the year events that are just kind of all over the place. And I know not everybody reads all of the newsletter every week, although we get more than 200 unique views every week for about 4 minutes of engagement. But there's a few things I just want to highlight. Band and orchestra concerts are starting next week. We actually have a band adjudication next Friday. They're off to Lake Compounds to be judged. The chorus, the orchestra, and the jazz band are off to do that. The following week, we have the band and orchestra concerts, and then the choral concert will be over at Staples. Thank you, Mrs. Fox Santoro, for your hospitality on June 1st. Next Friday, we have something pretty cool. Eagle One, the search and rescue helicopter out of Sikorsky, is going to be coming and landing right here on campus. We're working with the Easton Police Department on that event, and our science kids are studying a little bit about helicopters. They're asking some questions. The crew's going to disembark, answer a few questions for the kids. So that'll be cool. It'll be weather permitting. We do have a rain date in case it doesn't work out next week, but that'll be really cool. They said you can hear the helicopter from about 4 miles away. So basically when it takes off, you can almost hear it, and then it's going to land right down in the field. And I did clear it with Parks and Rec because I was worried about
And the FAA.
damaging the turret or anything like that. We're also back in full gear with field trips. Everybody kind of has an end of the year field trip, except for 6th grade. 6th grade did their nature's classroom experience in the fall here on campus. 7th grade is doing a mountain workshop experience here on campus. It's a team building collaboration experience all day long here on campus. Again, we saved a lot of money on the buses by doing it here. And the 8th grade is off to Brownstone Adventure Park at the end of the year. And the last week of school, all grades will be going to one day at a time, going to the Easton Public Library. They're going to all get library cards. They're going to get a little bit of a tour of the public library and see what the resources are for the summer. There's some programs and offerings to get the kids away from the screens during the summer and off to the library. And we're also going to be talking about summer reading while we're there, so kids can check out summer reading books, because we stopped checking out books like the last week of school. So kids will be able to get their summer reading going. We're actually going to have Tim Humansky from the high school come with the 8th graders and talk about the high school summer reading program as well while we're at the library. So we thought that would be a cool way to do that. And then most importantly, our closing ceremony, we'd love to see you all at. You'll have a seat on June 16th. It'll be here at Keller. If the weather is good, if the weather's bad, we've arranged the Barlow Auditorium to be able to house us. So that should be, we should be able to make a late decision on that without, because we have a half day, so we can send all of our staff up there to get it all decorated and set up if the weather is lousy here. And that's the last day of school as well. So, so all those big end of the year events are all kind of coming together. We're all kind of trying to keep them all straight and make sure everybody gets everything. So it's the Keller report for this one.
Dave,
Yes, sir.
how is the outdoor classroom doing?
Outdoor classroom's great. We've got the shade up there over April break. We've had a couple classes out there. Mr. Jockers likes it the best. He's reading To Kill a Mockingbird right now. So they're out there almost every good weather day in the nice shade and reading To Kill a Mockingbird right now. So it's been great to see that. I got a couple of pictures in the news that are coming up, but we're also reopened our outside cafe outside the cafeteria. We have last year's 8th grade donated about 6 picnic tables, and we brought the other picnic tables down there. If we get it mowed more often, it would be great. If we get to work on our mowing services, maybe. But I'd love to put a little patio on there. That could be a future project at some point that I'll ask for. But it's been really well used. Kids are out there. I got about 30 kids sitting out there every day, especially this week. The weather's been really nice. It's great.
What time is 8th grade graduation again? I'm sorry.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Yep.
Thank you.
We usually runs about an hour. I think we put an hour and a half on there, but we ran about an hour last year.
Do we know when Barlow's graduation is?
13, 14.
Which,
We need to adjust our June meetings.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you all.
Thank
For your support.
Thank you, Steve. We'll save the best for last. So Dr. Stephanie Pearson-Hugo is up soon. However, I would just like to make a couple of comments. I'll go.
You know, Kim and I are right here.
Yeah. So back at the end of February, I asked a former colleague of mine to come in to have some focus group conversations in the area of special education. And I've started to develop a strategic plan to focus on special education And I've identified 4 domains and various priorities and action steps, similar to the district strategic plan in the same format. What I'd like to do is develop that plan and flesh it out with some staff members between now and the June meeting. And then at the June meeting, share some of the concepts with the Board of Education to get your input. At which time I'd like to share it with the wider community to get their input, with the goal of putting the plan into place before the start of school next year. So I have not yet shopped this plan around or socialized it with the administration, the leadership, the teachers. We've only held the focus groups and collected raw data, and I've taken that raw data to develop the concepts. The 4 broad areas are leadership and systems, communication and family engagement, learning environments and special programs, and operations. And under those 4 categories, there'll be sub-priorities and actions. So at the June meeting, I'll be in a better place to kind of share a framework with you. But I just need to share it with our leaders and our staff and our teachers to kind of get it ready for you, and then subsequently share it with the community for their input. And I'll develop a survey for them so they can provide us input as well. We heard incredible reports from Kim and Steve concerning Teacher Appreciation Week and the support that our PTO has offered to our schools in showing our gratitude to teachers. And so this week in particular, we are just deeply grateful for their dedication, their professionalism, their talent, and everything they do for our schools. They are the reason why our students come to school every day so happy and engaged in our classroom. So we are deeply appreciative of our teachers and of our PTO and our leadership for showing appreciation to our staff. Tomorrow is Nurse Appreciation Day, and the whole month of May, we've been showing our gratitude to our various professionals. And so I'll be releasing a statement tomorrow to our teachers and kind of a notice on our Instagram page. And so this is a notice in advance of that. We're, again, deeply grateful to our teachers for everything that they do. So with that, the best for last. Stephanie has an update just to kind of refresh everyone's memory about our curriculum and where our curriculum is housed. And as Stephanie shows kind of the curriculum website, I will say at the tri-board meeting at the end of this month, we do want to present a vision for our updated curriculum, a vision for a communication plan. And so even though you're showing the curriculum website tonight, that's going to be in the process of being updated.
Yes, my intention was to show you what's currently available and then to provide a little bit of a teaser, because as you just heard, we're about to do a massive overhaul of all of our websites. We're really grateful for our new team member at Central Office, Jeff Bradbury, who's our new Director of Digital Learning, who has really hit the ground running in so many ways. He is eager and motivated and devoting a tremendous amount of time to gathering input and feedback and trying to make the new websites serve our needs and be dynamic and reflect more the current way that people share and receive information. So what I want to show you now, though, is just what exists currently. And if people are asking for curriculum information, they can find it in lots of different places. Anything that's not posted online is always available upon request. You might remember that in the last few years, we have been updating the format to many of our curriculum documents. So there are things that are not posted because they're in the process of being reformatted. And then during that reformatting process, the state updated standards. So there's sort of no point in devoting a lot of teacher time, pulling them out of classrooms to work on formatting if we're going to have to revise anyway. But you can find the curriculum in lots of places, as I said, by going to the Central Office website and looking under Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, focusing on curriculum content, curriculum and parent resources. And as you can see, we have the grade bands here. So I'll show you as an example, grade K through 2. Let's see, many of the content areas broken down here does not include social studies. We are expecting, I think you know, a new framework in June. I checked in with our consultant with the state. He says we are still on track for that. Of course, it has to be adopted by the state. So if all goes well, we will have new frameworks and we'll begin the revision there that you can see: reading, writing, math, and science. And we'll choose another grade band, grade 6 through 8. 6 through 8, you can see the different math courses. You see there are a few more options here. And also social studies as well as science. Right, if parents are looking, I know this is outside of Easton, but if parents are looking for information about the high school, 2 main places: the program with studies and then the curriculum guides by discipline. I will say that the curriculum guides by discipline are not necessarily up to date. Many of them include old standards and certainly the old formats. We are digging into that. Another way to find this information is to go to each school site. I can find my way back, and I'll just this way, choose a school. And let's choose Keller. And then if we look at parents and curriculum information, it takes you to the same page. So we have that information here. I have been told of a couple of links that are not functional, particularly in the parent resources. I found the same thing out myself today, looking for a policy and finding out that it needed a Zoom password. In another case, I could see it because the document is shared with me, but a member of the public could not see it, and it's very hard to check unless someone tells us. So whenever we learn of that information, we try and correct it as quickly as possible. Happy to take any questions about public communication with curriculum.
I don't have a question. I just had a comment. I think it's wonderful to see some effort going into looking at curriculum. I was so impressed with how the district handled the strategic plan and the transparency behind it and the openness around metrics and milestones. And I feel like, yeah, as a parent, I'm naturally going to go look now to see what are the tools we're going to be using to get there, and what are the different aspects to the curriculum. I'm familiar with this site as a board member and as a parent. You know, some things I hope you'll consider is, you know, putting dates on the materials so parents understand we are refreshing this every year. You know, even communications around, we're refreshing the curriculum that's available. Please go take a look. It's a lot. It's just a lot because there's a lot of different links to all these websites, and it can get hard to keep track of everything that's coming at you.
And some of that will be in the 5-year curriculum plan, right? So parents will be able to see.
That's great.
This is either being researched, this is being written, this is being implemented, this is being monitored.
Even,
And that would be
yeah,
helpful as
and
well.
works in progress, I appreciate the communication around that too, that this is a process and a method, and there's a science to this.
Mhm.
And that with the care that was taken around the strategic plan for the district, I'm very pleased to see that we're gonna be taking maybe a similar approach here and sort of how we address and share this information, because I think it's critical. And when I did take a look at some of the other schools in our peer set, I wasn't really bowled over with anybody's
No.
presentation on the
John might
materials.
remember because he sat on the curriculum committee at the time. We spent a lot of time as a board curriculum committee joint with Reading and then also with Region 9, looking at other area websites. It's not even in our immediate area. We looked all over the country for exemplars in this area. And then we also surveyed parents about what they thought was most important to know, and what kind of access are you looking for, and what do you truly want to know. And we found out that most parents are not necessarily interested in looking at the standards, that enduring understandings and essential questions are sort of nice to know, but not must knows. They really wanted topics, content, skills by unit.
There was a district, I don't remember which one it was, that did a report to parents at the beginning of the year, sort of what's been updated since last year, what's new, sort of. So it was a good flag to say, right,
Yeah.
before you sift through
Yeah.
18 links, we're gonna proactively tell you in this report, here's what's
Right.
new for the coming school
Yeah.
year.
And
So-
that's a part of our strategic work as well.
Great.
So people will have that kind of update and know what to expect in year one, year two, et cetera.
I'm glad you mentioned the strategic plan and how pleased you were with the process and the website that kind of captured it and told the story. Our goal is to do the same with curriculum. So I like your ideas about what's new, what's updated,
Mhm.
because we are going to take this and make it even better. And we have someone that's going to help Stephanie with the mechanics and the improvement of the website.
Mhm.
But we also have someone who has an eye towards design and how it all fits together and how it's a user-friendly process. And so with the researcher and curriculum leader, with the curriculum website, digital director of digital learning, and someone who's focused on design and graphic design and so on, I think we'll come up with a really user-friendly product. And it probably will be a leader in the space around us. That is the goal, right?
That, I mean, want to echo Alicia's comments, because I think that is a very much a place where we are leading and where we see your leadership and Sarah's contributions and our building leaders all coming together to set a strategic vision and then to make it clear and transparent, like love all that.
Mhm.
What your comments before about special education and doing the same thing in that space, thank you, because the people within our community have reached out and said to us and come to these meetings and said, hey, we need your attention. And your response is not to say, no, there's not really a problem, everything's perfect, but to say, we know we can always do better and let's attack this head on and figure out how to be on our front foot. I frankly think it is the responsibility of districts like ours who are able to, we've righted our ship after COVID and we're starting to operate at a high level. I think it's our duty to then serve as an example and to provide something like the revamped version of this and the strategic vision and to start telling, other districts like, hey, here's a way to do it. Because we can have an impact that's, even beyond our community when we do that.
Yeah, and as Dr. McKinnon and I have said many times, being able to do this just requires the time and headspace to be able to focus. And you all know that with the 3 districts and central office being what it is, it sometimes is hard just to carve out the sheer amount of time to kind of get everyone in one space and say, let's jump in and do this and
It's a huge
really
lift.
work through it.
It's a huge lift.
Yeah, but it's worth it, right? It's important work. Any other questions? Good, all right.
Thank you.
You're done with the computer, unless you're planning, you've got your own. You want the plug? Well, I know he doesn't want a Chromebook. My Mac
I don't
friend.
think we need it.
Okay. I will unplug. Dr. Clapton, we need to. I think I can find the power button.
Thank you for the board.
Cord stay up here.
Yeah, it stays with the device. Thank you.
Oh, it's with the device.
It stays with the board, yeah.
The board.
Sorry. Good, but that's that.
All right, we want to come into item 6. Fiscal year end projections ordered.
Yes.
Okay. So, I will start this. Obviously, Sarah's under the weather, so, no,
No, sorry, that was me.
So we're not gonna sit here today and say, okay, we're gonna have $800,000 of unexpended funds for the year end or within 50, we don't know that definitively yet. The object summary is in the 900,000 range. If I did a little work on the healthcare reserve, my best estimate is we're gonna come in with a final year reserve, assuming we take all of our unencumbered and encumber it, our remaining unencumbered. of around 900,000. We started the year at 1,020,000, so great, really, I mean, because 1 million was plenty, but we wanted that because we cut the budget last year for healthcare expense, so. I don't, at this juncture, I don't think we're gonna need to add unspent funds to the healthcare reserve. So then you go back to, well, what is unspent funds? You know, if it's 900,000, if it's 800,000, if it's 700,000, that's a ton of money. And I guess I want to kick off the conversation just by asking, and this is where the building leaders also come into play, is we've had conversations about repairs that are needed in this building, some of which require research, bids, et cetera, beyond the scope of this conversation, or frankly, beyond the scope of probably June's conversation, when we get better numbers. But then we talk about things like whiteboards. We talk about the water heater. I think that's already a work in process over at Samuel Staples. But repairs that things that are broken and do not meet the need anymore. And then you work yourself sort of down the level of things that are maybe beyond their useful life. They still work, but they work on Tuesdays, not on Thursdays, or what have you. And so those things maybe, are there other security things that are ever present that we need to think about? So this is not, we're not gonna make any definitive solutions tonight, but we're gonna have a discussion about this. And is that the right tact? It's just one idea. If you have another idea as to how we should approach this, my goal would be to send a lot of money back to the town. This is not a windfall that we get to then spend just because it was allocated to us. They've trusted us to return money, and we've done a great job of that the last many years. But it is an opportunity, and we did this last year. We allocated 100, 120, 140,000 for repairs, for security, for important things, very important things. Steve, if there are things that are of that ilk, you can send us that in advance of the June meeting so we can start processing and thinking about it, or provide it to Jason and or Sarah. But I also want to just go to the board members, like, what are your thoughts about how we approach the year end and the unspent funds, so to speak? And anybody?
I mean, I guess I would agree with you, Randy, that we want to be judicious with the taxpayers' money and return what we can, but also, I wasn't on the board last year when you went through this process. I watched the meeting where you had the unspent funds and went through your list, and some things got funded, some didn't. My preference would be to have a little more time to evaluate what's on that list.
Right.
So if we're asking it with a little more advanced notice, like what are the reading materials? What are some of the supplemental materials we can use? What are some of the other things that we'd like to have? I would appreciate a little more time to consider those. With regard to facilities, there was the discussion with the Board of Finance of having a vehicle to set aside money. And I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to revisit that with the Board of Finance. And they seemed open.
Yep.
And they know that we were kicking off sort of a more serious look at sort of capital improvement. So it feels like a good time with this end of year surplus or extra to say, could we maybe look at starting this? I don't know. That would be a suggestion.
I agree with all of that.
And I think that's another bucket, bro, that I didn't mention then, because you have repairs and maintenance and things that are overdue. We have, John pointed out earlier, an MOU that we need to get signed by Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance in order to establish a facility capital fund, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But that would, if that's set aside for the next year, the year after, what have you. So it's another bucket though of unspent money that does not get returned to the town, and then the remaining gets returned to the town.
Yeah.
And I may be missing a bucket, but that's.
Are there any positions that we are losing because the ESSER grants are on their last legs?
We have one more year of ARC ESSER, and there are some positions without my computer in front of me, I believe there are some positions that are associated with that grant. You're not losing any with ESSER two, which ends at the end of this year.
So,
So in another year,
right,
that answer might be, so there's a contribution within the grants to some of our positions.
Okay,
Not
so I just want
necessarily
to make
full
sure that
funding.
we, make sure that we keep our eye on that because we don't want to hit that
No.
financial cliff. Where all of a sudden, we're losing 3 or 4 people that are on the,
Right.
perhaps the paras that are
Sure.
in reading or math, and all of a sudden now we just dollars we don't have to pay for.
We can look into that more closely, but I think that's probably more of a next year conversation.
Okay.
Is that what you recall? Jason?
Yes, yeah. I think if you take a look at the unexpended funds for the remaining of the year, and you really want to explore options. And one option is a 2% fund for potentially $360,000. A menu of options regarding facilities that you can go down and identify and target. And maybe a list of opportunities that are going to improve instruction. One of those opportunities, I don't know whether you want to put in the opportunity bucket or whether you want to include in the facilities menu, is smart boards or ViewSonic boards over at Samuel Staples.
That was in the facilities plan.
That is in the facilities plan. And we had various conversations about, do we put that as a capital expense? Do we look at it in terms of a lease? Do we include that in the 2% category? Or is there an opportunity, or do you call that as an opportunity for the end of this year to inventory of the 30 or so classrooms over at Samuel Staples? How many have been replaced recently? Probably 4 or 5, because they just stopped working.
Right,
And they stopped working because they're end of life.
right.
And then for the remaining 20, 25 classrooms, we can get you a detailed cost analysis. So really, by the June meeting, you need a complete framework of this would be the MOU for the 2% fund. This would be a menu of facilities and repairs that we need to make. And then what are the opportunities that we have? Oh, and sorry, a 4th category, which is returning funds to the town.
right.
So you've got 2% fund, the menu of facilities, opportunities for instruction, and then return of funds.
Jason, would security fall under facilities under that? Those buckets?
Security could fall under
Yeah.
facilities.
Can I ask a question about, I don't want to add a 5th bucket. But Taylor used to have a lot more extracurricular activities, after-school activities, sports programs that we've lost along the years, way before I even moved back to town. I did play on the school team when I was here, but it's long since disappeared for good reason.
That's a whole nother problem.
Yeah, oh, it's a
Yeah.
whole nother problem.
Yeah.
Is there interest in a discussion around funding sort of, programs that we've had to cut in the past?
And I thought that we refunded those last year.
We did?
We did,
I think
the
we did.
Yeah.
Well, are you asking the question, if we have 25
Right,
now, we used to have 35, and would those other 10 be attractive to students?
Well, we had things like track and field, where we
Sure.
literally went and.
Yeah, real teams.
We were.
But
Yeah, races against
do other
Ludlow.
middle schools have that?
Middle
no, other middle schools don't.
They don't.
And that's the problem.
So, yeah, who would you go?
I would love to see an effort to actually
Yes.
do that.
I
I would
agree.
love to see soccer team out there and, that's all I really care.
I know.
I'm kidding,
No,
I'm
but
kidding.
to you, I think that these are great ideas. We did actually hear a middle school sports proposal. I was at numerous events last night at Joe Barlow High School for a senior night. I actually had parents talk to me about that. Reading is interested in that as well. However, that is, I don't think you can do anything with end of year funds
Okay.
for that.
Yeah.
Because
All right.
we don't have the bank account to carry over money.
Right, it's not in the budget.
None of the
You gotta
budget.
spend
The
it.
2%, the 2% fund is really for
It's
capital and
different.
special ed,
Okay.
and special ed. However,
Right.
the idea around
Yeah.
extracurricular activities and sports teams, is a phenomenal idea,
Yeah.
and we should explore that.
Yeah.
I think that'd be great.
It's a nice.
Where are we with water? Here,
We got money.
the water in the building.
Well, I think that would be under the menu of, the menu of the facilities bucket. And I know that Sarah Scafani is having conversations with Ed Nagy about looking at the gutters in this building, looking at extra drainage in the back of the building. They've drilled some pilot holes to determine whether those drains are actually working and whether the gutters and the downspouts are connected to French drains. And Sarah found an old blueprint, which actually found a junction box or pit
Yeah, it's right down there.
right down there,
Yeah.
which they couldn't find the last time. They actually searched for it, but they stopped right below before they hit it. And so there's some money that we could spend at the end of the year to either resolve or research where this water problem is coming from. And so I think that is definitely an item that we need to put on the list.
Yeah. Because to put new gutters up makes a lot of sense, but if we have to replace the roof, then we're gonna damage those gutters. And this junction box seems to be a key part of this, and to start the digging as soon as, last day of school. This makes all the sense in the world to me, just to be able to see what it is that we're really dealing with here.
Yeah, I agree. I think by June, by the next meeting, we can, and your idea, Alicia, of seeing things ahead of time, but giving you a list of options, similar to what we did during the budget process, right?
Yeah.
Discussing the pros and cons, giving you all the options and having you choose from a menu is probably the best strategy.
Okay.
You still may need to put 100,000 in health insurance.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Just based on, and one of the things you have to talk about is where do you want the reserve account to start next year? Right?
Yeah, I mean, typically, historically, in the last several years, 3 months reserve. And if our average spend per month it's really less than 250,
Right.
that would imply you're at 700. And I think we're gonna be well above that, but it depends on May and June, obviously. I just estimated May and June to be $200,000 months.
Right.
And that's where I came out with 921, if my math is right. And then there's some employee premiums that would get added to that, but say 900 was my best estimate based on $200,000 months for May and June.
Yeah.
It may be 3, it may be 150, so in the 800 to 900 range, as I sit here today, I'm comfortable with that as a reserve.
Oh, if you're saying that the reserve, if you're comfortable with an $800,000 to $900,000 reserve, I think that's excellent.
Yeah,
That gives you maximum flexibility
right,
next year as well,
right, sure,
not only as reserve, but as a budget tool.
that's right.
But, we'll have another month worth of data and when we sit in June and we'll have that conversation as well, but.
Right.
Well, to have $900,000 in the health reserve and have $900,000 at the end of the year unspent funds. That ain't too bad.
No, it's unreal, yeah. No, it's
Can I ask a question about, sorry to go back to the water issue here? Is the idea, what I think you just said, that we're gonna hire someone to audit exactly what our problems are and give us ideas for what we need to fix?
Well, there's been conversations with the town, the Department of Public Works,
Yes,
and they've drilled pilot holes in the back of the
Right.
building. They've detected whether the drains that were on blueprints, whether they're there and they're working, and they're working. But we don't think that the gutters are connected to the downspouts and the downspouts are connected to the drains.
Okay.
So part of the system works, part of the system doesn't work.
okay,
And then the connection of infrastructure that are the drains that are coming from the back of the hill that kind of run down the front of the building to that junction box.
yeah,
I think that is an unknown.
okay,
However, I think what work the Public Works can do is the exploratory hole.
Right. I think,
Okay.
I think we're not there yet.
Okay.
I think we're leveraging the town as much as we can until they probably say, okay, this is beyond my scope. I've looked at the blueprints, I've done my exploratory, I'm pretty sure it's this. And it may be an iterative process where we, you know, we need, Steve, is the roof leaking, or do you think it's coming in because the gutters fill up because they're full of rocks from when we shoveled the rocks off the roof into the gutters, when we shoveled the snow off the roof 4 years ago? And therefore, when it rains, it's not that the roof is leaking, it gets backed up and it comes in because, you know, you may not be able to answer that question, but you may say, no, I know exactly where there's 3 leaks in the roof.
There's a couple of spots, like there's a spot here on the roof that's been really notoriously hard to repair, and we get water every rainy season, I say. But most of the water we get comes from below. So whether that's coming from the gutters and then leaking in the sides, or it's coming from underneath, but we're getting a lot of tiles that are coming up in lots of strange places. For example, like some of the 6th grade rooms that are on this side of the, not just the ones on the up the hillside, but on this side, or even down in the lower part on the 8th grade wing, we're getting tiles pumping there, and there's a lot of moisture underneath there. So it's coming from below more than from the roof.
Yeah.
Or whether it's the gutters or the ground.
So to that end, that may be an area where, speaking for Ed Nagy, he may say, okay, we need to bring somebody in to look at the roof. And is that repairable, or is that a bigger project? This area, or where we have a couple of, known leaks. The gutters, is that a contractor who says we need to, they can come and study, or can Ed tell us that the gutters? I mean, yes, not sure.
I'll join you in being not sure.
Because, you know,
I don't know if anyone's an expert in all of this, so my
Correct.
interest is. How do we move forward? How do we get the information we need to make some smart decisions about the projects and the cost? So that we don't have the same conversation again next year
Right,
or the year after,
that's-
because this has been.
Yeah.
A perennial issue.
Here's what I worry about with this issue is that the summer's coming, and with it comes mold season, and when there's moisture in the building and heat and humidity, we have to either run the ACs in the units all summer long. It's cold and mold, so there's a big waste of energy we're gonna experience again, so. This will, the sooner we can kind of get to the bottom of it, that's what you're all trying to get to, but it's there's other systems involved too.
Okay.
Sure.
well, it may be an opportunity to call a facilities conversation, I hate to say a meeting, but facilities conversation discussion, with Ed to see what, we have our exploratory holes. We think we need work on the gutters. Sarah's obviously been doing some of that behind the scenes, I think, with Ed, exploring different things. How do we,
Jason, can I get a copy of those blueprints?
They're,
I mean, they're probably like.
yes, they're old school blueprints.
Okay,
You probably have to take them somewhere to get copies.
okay. Can we, if I brought some people in to review them, could we just do it then at central office?
Or they're down at central office.
We could meet there and just look at them together.
Oh, yeah.
I was talking to one of the 2 people that was the builder for the third piece of Helen Keller. And I was explaining to him the water problem, and he goes, well, Jeff, there's been a water problem here forever. I go, yeah, where it's gotten to a point where we can't let it continue. And he asked, well, do you have blueprints? And I said, as a matter of fact, we do. So I just wanted to do it.
right,
Get another set of eyes to look at it, and whose business it is to understand that stuff.
Okay, so facilities subcommittee meeting at central office.
yeah,
Got it.
to be scheduled.
Great.
Devin, we lose you? You good?
Still here.
Yes, I agree with everything you're saying. I love the facilities meeting, and I think we should definitely deal with water issues in May, if we can.
All right. Board committee reports, are we good with the year-end stuff? I think we are, we did that pretty well. Any committee reports? Policy.
Negotiating committee, nothing for policy, joint negotiating committee is getting together. We met last week and meeting again tomorrow. I think we're in good shape, had a great conversation, got the, sort of positions of our negotiating position. Started to figure that out, and I think we'll likely finish that tomorrow. So I think we're in good shape there to make recommendation at the tri-board meeting on the 23rd.
And we'll kick off-
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, we're gonna kick off the custodians in a few weeks.
Yep.
Sorry, Devin.
The curriculum committee meets in June, I think. Alyssa, do you remember? June 6th.
June 6th.
June 6th, great. So I really, sorry about that, I blanked for a minute. So we'll have a meeting before our next meeting, and then the DEI task force met yesterday. We had a great update from Stephanie and Jason around the work that has been done this year. Strategic priority with a 2.3 with a focus, where we looked at the assured experiences, the PD and development that has happened with our teachers this year, and just did like a quick preview of some of the work to come, kind of how the work is shifting from really foundational work, building the foundation and knowledge at large groups to more focus areas next year.
Excellent. Anything? All right.
Motion to adjourn?
Wait,
Sure.
do we have?
Wait.
Wait.
Don has to go back and talk some.
No, yeah, I guess, I thought, no, we usually have a board comment there,
Oh, board
but we don't.
comment.
I'm mistaken,
Comment.
it wasn't there.
Welcome to the agenda item.
Want to suggest another date for the board meeting?
Yes, don't we have to change May?
Or
I do, we do need to change June. Sure, let's take our calendars out here and see if we can only do this
Are
once.
you taking back the adjournment?
Motion to add an agenda item to discuss the change of our June meeting.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Second.
good
All right.
discussion, all right. Good, all right.
It's in May.
All three boards, but there has always
Let's
been
not-
Easton and Reading.
Let's not add.
No, I'm suggesting that maybe it would be possible
No,
to have
do
both
it as a part of
Easton
it.
and Reading on the same evening.
Well,
When is Reading meeting?
Wait, we have, there's a.
I think Rudy's meeting is June.
There has always been a June joint Easton Reading meeting,
6th.
and I noticed that this June,
That's right.
Reading has 2 meetings and Easton has 1. In years past, there was a joint Easton Reading meeting, and then there was an additional sort of fiscal closeout meeting at the end of the month.
Reading has 2 meetings in June?
They do.
Well,
Because
because their first meeting is pretty early.
Right.
Okay.
it's
So
the-
They
they,
need more, we need more time to work out.
closeout meeting.
Yeah.
gotcha.
How about Flag Day?
Which is.
14th.
It's Barlow's rain day.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well,
It's the graduation
Rain
rain
day.
day. For Joe Barlow, because they're having it outside this year.
Okay.
That week is,
Because of
You could
that.
do it on June 15th. We would just be coming from the John Reed Middle School 8th grade graduation.
yeah, that's possible, actually, because it's
Okay.
Yeah.
I could do that.
I'm good.
I'll be coming from the grade 5 step-up ceremony much earlier in the.
at 9:30 in the morning.
Yes, it's a big one.
There's also the 12th.
Okay, so is that a go?
I don't know, Randy's still looking
Are we saying 7 o'clock?
on the 15th, yeah.
Would that, what time is the John Reed?
It's at 5:30, that should work, it's usually an
Well, we
hour.
could do the Monday.
The
You're right,
12th?
Stephanie's right, yeah.
It could be the 12th, too. It's the only day that week where we don't have.
At 7 o'clock?
Yeah.
I'm good with
That
that
would
too.
work, yeah, that would work, that'd be better.
12th?
Devin, the 12th at 7 o'clock.
Either the 12th or the 15th works for me.
Cool.
So we're doing 12th.
Yes, I think so.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So do we have to have a motion to actually
We
move
do.
that or, okay.
Move that we,
Move our meeting.
So we added the agenda item, but do we need to add, do we discuss it? Do we need to?
right, I move that we, adjust our June, regular board meeting to, I guess, what would be a special meeting on June 12th, at 7 o'clock at Helen Keller Middle School.
Second.
Thank you, Alicia. All in favor?
Devin, yes,
Devin,
so yes.
Yep.
So we just need to get a notice and everything on Friday.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll entertain it.
So moved. Second?
Yeah,
Okay.
Done.
8:03. Bye, Devin.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. Appreciate it.
Shuttling.
Good night.